Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 26, 2022 at approximately 8:08 p.m. PST. You know, society has an interesting way of dealing with things, and I am absolutely amazed. Much as I've seen a lot of good, a lot of positive changes coming in the last little while. Every time it looks like people are starting to get their head on straight and starting to work together, we get some sort of other really bizarre choice. Now, we've just gone through 2 years and we're still dealing with the tail end of it. Okay, some would say we're still in the thick of it. But we've just gone through 2 years of this pandemic. Okay, and regardless of what you think of it, it has created some problems. It has also created some benefits. Okay, we get that just wrapping up. Okay, culminating in this whole idea of the convoy coming together and saying, hey, everybody, every walk of life, let's really get this message straight and work together. This is a great thing. But now we have an interesting problem. As per usual, somebody has decided that war is a good thing. I have no idea why people are still doing this. The way I figure it, they tried it, mankind tried this way back in the Roman Empire. They tried it then in the Middle Ages when royalty seemed to think they were better than everybody else. Mankind is still doing the same thing overall. Now this war that's just gotten underway. Okay, this has got to be one of the densest things possible. Just as we start getting things moving. Okay, there are some things that have to be turned around. People have got to start realizing it doesn't matter what side of this war you're on. You're going to lose. There is no winner in this war. Nobody is coming out on top. Now, yeah, some people will make a staggering amount of money. Some people will get property that wasn't theirs before. But everybody loses. Okay. There is no positive outcome to this as far as I can tell. Because people still have not got the idea that war does not bring peace. War brings quiet. War used to be good for the economy in as much as it put a lot of people to work all at once. Of course, it put people to work with the idea they were going to kill each other, but, it did put them to work. Now, I am not, when it comes to war, don't ask me which side I'm on. Okay, because I'm not on the side of war at all. I like the way that Mother Teresa put it. She said, I will never, if I recall the way she put it, I will never attend a war rally or an anti-war rally. She says, you set up a peace rally, I will be there as quick as I can get there. War has never been beneficial. Okay, it's made people money, but it makes people money on the backs of dead people that really had nothing to do with it. Now, it is time that we really pull our head out of the sand and look at what this war is all about. Why is it people are going to war? Now, I've made it very clear, at least I think I have, that I'm very much in favor of, I'm very much a staunch supporter of people that choose to join the military or, military, police force, whatever, in order to protect their community, to protect their country. Absolutely, I'm in agreement with it. I have serious questions about the upper echelon and what their choices are and why. Now, it wouldn't, in all fairness, and this is just my opinion, but if the leaders of the countries that were going to war, that were sending people to war, if they were doing like they did in the Middle Ages and putting on their uniform and walking into the middle of the maelstrom that they're propagating, I may have a different outlook on it, but they're not. They're sitting in business suits, they're sitting in their high-class little places, and they're telling flunkies, get up and go kill somebody because I'm in a bad mood. or because I want more property. Little do people seem to realize that war does not bring peace. Not only that, but technological advancement can be made much more effectively if you're not dodging bullets. Okay, if you're not blowing up cities, it's a whole lot easier to work on research projects. It's a whole lot easier to build wonderful works of art, okay, or wonderful technological marvels if people are not trying to blow the site up. Now, I don't know how to get this message across, in all fairness. I will tell you, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, one primary message, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for most people. But what I'm seeing here is people are choosing. Now, people, I'll get flack for this one. People are choosing to go to war. Okay. Usually because somebody else, I got into the military to protect my country. Well, got news for you. If you're leaving your country and going to another one, it's not protecting. Now, do not get me wrong. The fact that this war is taking place against a country that is completely out of kilter, like it's completely outmatched, putting people over there to help protect them, absolutely. The fascinating part is going to be whether the upper echelon does what should be done, which boils down to stop the attack on the country, okay, but do not violently retaliate. Absolutely, seal the borders. Okay, in my opinion, you seal the borders. Okay, and I mean of the country that is doing the attacking, not the one you've gone over to defend. Go over, help support help take care of the weak, of the, shall we say, underqualified. Okay, but when that is done, do not carry on back into the offending country. Seal the borders. Okay, they will end up with all kinds of problems inside, absolutely. But the reality is, when you seal the borders, okay, and it applies the same way when I hear about prison riots. Okay, you take a look at a prison riot. The prisoners get all rowdy, they get into a riot, they get upset, they run a riot. Now, usually what happens is there's a whole pile of people that go in there trying to straighten it out. I'm a firm believer with a prison riot, okay, do what you have to get your prison guards out. Seal the doors. Okay, when they are tired of fighting with each other, okay, when that is done, then you go back in, absolutely remove the dead bodies. Absolutely. But instead of replacing everything, leave them with what they left themselves with. Yes, this sounds like a very barbaric way of doing it. But the way that's being used right now is not working. This war that has just started, it's absolutely appalling. I have been a pacifist for a very long time. Yes, I support people going to the military. I would, they won't take me anyway. Okay, something about, epilepsy and automatic weapons. But what you have to realize is that going in to defend a country is a good thing. This is a very positive thing. Okay, but going back into the offending country to inflict more damage once they have been chased out of the country they're trying to invade, this cannot be permitted to happen, because all it does is perpetuate the problem. All it does is says, now we're going to get mad. If you simply seal the borders, okay, and we know there are more than enough people available to seal the borders. Okay, absolutely. Now, yes, it will take a little bit of time to do it. And there will be innocent people inside the country that get hurt. Absolutely there will be. And this is extremely unfortunate. But if it is not seized at that point, if they do not stop the war at that point, it will escalate into multiple other countries. Okay. Now, of course, we have the other side of this. The country starts offending. Okay. And there are other members of the country all over the place. All over the world. Some of these will absolutely rear up and start causing problems on behalf of their home country. Those same people, you do not bother with the idea of, they're just defending their country, or they're standing up for their country. No, they're not. They're actually adding to the problem. If you are stepping forward, okay, and this is why I tell people retaliation does not work well. One-upping a person, in other words, hitting them harder than they hit you. All that does is encourage further violence. Okay, so we have to realize it is time to put these guns down. It is time to quit working on war. War does not have the outcome that people seem to think it does. Look back through history. War has never brought peace. Okay, it's brought quiet. It has brought change. But change can be done quietly. It doesn't require a whole pile of bloodshed. Okay. Peace can be brought about by communication. And I'm asking all of you to really take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you treating other people the way you desire to be treated? Okay. Even if your profession is one that leads to violence, such as the military. Okay. As I've said, I'm a staunch supporter of the military, of people that join the military to protect their homes. Absolutely. Am I a staunch supporter of people that decide to invade another country for whatever reason? Not even in the functionally remotest possibility. You do not, protecting your country does not mean invading somebody else's. Okay. It really doesn't. It boils down to an issue of, if you're going to protect your country, or if you're going to step up and help protect the weak, that is a fantastic idea. Just the other day, like I mentioned when I'm dealing with people that are on the street. Okay. I don't give money on the whole to people that are on the street. But today I ran into a young lass that was on the street. She's on social assistance. But if you're in Canada and on social assistance, they don't give you enough money to live on. Well, I got in a little bit of extra money in. So I went into the grocery store and I asked her one question. I asked the woman one question. Are you allergic to anything? And she said, she named a couple of things that had nothing to do with food. And I walked in and I bought her I bought her a bag of groceries. Okay. Didn't ask her what was the best for her. I asked her, all I did was went in and got a little bit. If you've got a little bit of surplus, absolutely help the people that don't. If you're stronger than somebody being bullied or being assaulted, in this case, the war, if you're going in and helping protect the weakened country, you're doing a good thing. But that becomes questionable if you start moving the borders back into the country that is trying the invasion in the first place. However, by blockading the entire border of the offending country, yes, it will cause hardship for the people inside, and that's very unfortunate. Okay, but if you do that, all you're doing is asking to push it into another world war. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really not that interested in seeing another world war. Although I know there's one coming, but it's got nothing to do with people. We have this interesting problem that people seem to think that violence is a good thing. Now, if you take a look at the books I write, okay, at the science fiction, science fantasy books I write, Absolutely, I write in violent terms, but there's only three places where violence is functionally acceptable to my way of looking at it. Okay, in literature, in movies, and in mutually agreed upon events such as boxing, wrestling, this sort of thing, or a much better one, MMA, and MMA and martial arts, right? And that overall genre, when it is mutually agreed upon by equal numbers of people, that is not a bad thing. It lets people get that kind of tension out. War is not going to help anybody. Okay, and given the number of people that are involved in different religions that talk about peace, about love thy neighbor as thyself, to me it is absolutely appalling that these forces are not, that these religions are not standing up and going, enough, the war has to end. It's absolutely imperative. Okay, and this idea of hiding behind some doctrine to say we're allowed to attack these people, I will be looking into that as I get through the others. But I will tell you, to what I was taught, you do not attack another person because of greed, which is all this really boils down to. I don't know what the real reason is. I don't know if it's a question of they want land or they want. I know rumor has it that they're trying to rebuild an old country. Living in the past doesn't work well. You want to build an old empire? How about if we work together and build the Lemurian Empire? Okay. Over 10 billion people getting along. Now, this is something I would love to see rebuilt from the past. Okay. And to that end, this is one of the reasons why I came back to pass this message, is to encourage people, regardless of your walk of life, regardless of your income or political standing, work together. Because the conflict and the cross current of subquantum energy that is being generated by this conflict is going to upset the balance of nature. Now, I know it doesn't matter to me whether you believe it. Okay, but watch the natural disasters that start coming up. It's going to be really difficult to have naval maneuvers in the middle of a tsunami. Okay, somehow when a tsunami comes in big enough to roll the boat over, it really makes it hard to keep the the maneuvers working. People cannot aim rifles well in the middle of a tornado. And pity help the armored units to get caught in an absolute full-blown firestorm. Okay, it is time for people to put down their guns, to put down their knives, and to stop this ridiculous fighting with each other. It hasn't gotten you anywhere in the last, at least 2,000 years, really. It hasn't gotten you anywhere in almost 10,000 years. And yet you're still perpetrating this same thing. Insanity to me was put one day really nicely. Insanity being best described as repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Now, humans have been, and it's not just humans, corporeals, have been doing this for millennia. But just from your standpoint, think of how old you are. And go back through the current news. Figure out how many wars have been taking place since you were born. Okay. Now, from my standpoint, I don't know. I haven't counted them all. Because to my way of thinking, war is not something to put a lot of thought into. It's something to say, no, we're not doing it. Absolutely negotiate contracts, negotiate trade agreements, but do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. This idea that we should carry on fighting with each other, shooting at each other because you're not getting your own way, is, politely put, childish. Okay, it is not the sign of a superior society. It is not a sign of a mature individual. It is childish behavior. And 90% of wars, they say 75% of wars are caused in the name of religion. Well, almost 100% of them are caused by fear. And usually it's the people in power that are afraid of losing something, afraid of having a lack of something, afraid of not having enough toys, that starts these wars. And then it just gets on a life of its own. This is something that as individuals we can stop. War does not bring peace. It brings quiet. And it is time for people to realize that the way of society has got to alter. For the last roughly 10,000 years, mankind has been at war consistently, somewhere on the planet. Now, I know the States, my understanding about 20 years ago is that there were only about 7 years that the United States was not in a war. They were not involved in, whether they got involved fully or whether they were backing somebody up. The reality is, when you take a look at it, take a look at your life. And I encourage this for every country. Yes, I still agree that the military is a necessary thing. But the military originally was designed to protect the locals, the people that were not combat capable, from nature. As in, oh, look, we've got wolves coming into the neighborhood. Let's protect people. There's an angry bear coming in. Let's protect it. But that boils down to, here's the boundary of our community. This is the boundary we live in. This is what we're protecting. But mankind's greed has gotten way out of hand. And is now, again, 10,000 years is a long time to continue fighting for something that isn't going anywhere. The planet's not going away. Eventually it will die. Of course, the reality of it is, the end of the world will come in, by a friend of mine's estimation, about 5 billion years. And by then, hopefully mankind will have grown up enough that that's not what they're going to do. This war has got to be an issue of people looking at it and going, this is not going to work. We've got to stop shooting at each other. We've got to stop the bombings. Now, I know there are people, there's all kinds of ways of dealing with this. There are going to be people defecting from the military and trying to jump from one country to another to avoid the conflict. Now, how you go about dealing with your issues, is going to have to be an individual base. I am still, to this day, even with all this going on, I am still, number one, reclusive. Much more importantly, I'm a firm believer that you do have the power to shift this tide. And as many people have told me, or many people have asked me, is more to the point, what are the off-worlders' take on it? Well, that's the easy part. This is, from a xeno-socioeconomic standpoint, this is a massively exciting period. This is the time to watch. Is mankind going to put their weapons down and start working together? Are you, as a species, going to make it work this time and put your weapons down and start working towards building, towards actually helping each other? When I look at the number of companies around and the number of countries that have a surplus of food, a surplus of money, doing nothing to help the other members of this society unless they agree to exactly everything that people are doing. You have to believe exactly in what I'm saying or I'm not helping you. Well, I don't ask you to believe in what I'm saying. I'm asking you to take it into consideration because whatever path you're on, that's your path. I don't have to understand it. But I do understand the fact that if we don't stop the fighting, nobody's going to be happy. War does not bring victors. You can take all the hype you want, you can pump it all over the newscasts that you'd like to, saying how great it is, oh, you had a victory. that victory is buried in blood. Okay, the money that you're making is made off of blood money. Okay, and it's your own friends and neighbors that are getting caught in the middle of it. Okay, this is the reality behind it. This is not a good thing. Now, it was brought to my attention one day, okay, that, this orphanage had gotten bombed in this thing. And, they told me, I was told this, and I'm like, that's really unfortunate. And they got very upset about the issue. And they said, but it's children. I said, and so I asked them, and I'd love to hear somebody's opinion on this in all fairness. What is the fundamental difference between bombing a church or bombing a mall? Okay. When you're dealing with death, what is the fundamental difference? Why is one age more important than the next? Now, I've already gone through the idea of the little ones still have a long life ahead. Well, the older ones could have had a longer life. Okay. War is not something you're ever going to get me to agree with. Okay, and certainly not quoting it as in, well, this is, it's human rights are violating. Absolutely, some of these things are being violated. But this is why I say, you seal the borders, okay, you just lock the borders solid. Once you've stopped the advance, lock the borders. There will be people caught inside that will get hurt, that will get, that will end up suffering. Absolutely there are. Look around your own neighborhood. There's a lot of things going on, and there's a staggering number of people on the street that are starving. They are having a hard time with life. Did they do anything wrong? Maybe, maybe not. But the reality is there are people in your country, regardless of what country it is, that are starving while you have millionaires and multinational corporations that are totally ignoring these people. Okay, so are people going to get hurt in this war? Both guilty and innocent. Okay, absolutely. A lot of people are going to get hurt. Okay, in this whole thing, I don't kid myself at all. Could I end up being shot in this whole thing? In spite of the fact I'm reclusive? You bet. I absolutely could. Okay, I'm no better than the next person. I just happen to have come to terms with who I am and what I am here to do. And that is to pass on a very simple message. Simply put, working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Okay, in order to do this, we have to start with ourselves. And we've got to work together to bring this war to an end as soon as possible. Okay, it doesn't matter which side of the war you're on. The war isn't going to help anybody. Now, this said, I'm going to let this go. I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.